It is just about to turn 3 p.m. Eastern here. We'll give people a few minutes to log on. But as always, if someone could give me a sound check, making sure that you can see me and hear me okay. Perfect. Thank you all. We will be sharing some materials. So if you cannot see the PDFs that we share or the video that we'll be sharing throughout the webinar as well, just please be sure to type into the chat just so I can stop and troubleshoot on the fly. I want to make sure that everyone gets the information here today. Before we get started, just as a reminder, all of our webinars are recorded. As long as you signed up for the webinar, you will get a email copy of this recording in your inbox. It might go to your spam. If you've unsubscribed from the Demio emails, which is the software we use to run our webinars, you might not get them. So if you signed up, you stayed the whole time, you still didn't get the recording, just email us at growth@nutshell.com. And we'll be happy to send you a recording when it's available. We try to get these up on our website within a week of the recording as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As I pull up our slide deck here, today we are going to be talking about Zoom AI features. I'm Will Gordon, the Senior Director of Marketing here at Nutshell. Zoom has been a part of our product for quite a long time. Every account has the ability to integrate their Zoom account with Nutshell. And recently, and just as recently as yesterday, we're updating how you can use Zoom and some of the AI features inside Nutshell to make your job so much easier and so much more quicker, to the fact that you can, never really have to take notes again. And before we really get into the agenda, I just want to go through a meta moment that I actually just had an hour ago while preparing for this webinar. I had a 2 p.m. personal meeting with my wife and our financial advisor. I was rushed to deadline to try to finish editing the video that we'll be watching later on this webinar. So I joined that call about 21 minutes late. Our financial advisor was using Zoom, and the first words that came out of his mouth when I joined was, do you want me to go over and summarize that again? Or do you feel like you could summarize it for your husband later on this evening? And I just feel like, wouldn't it be wonderful if, regardless of whether I was on time or late, he could have 20 minutes back in his day for every single time that happens for him? So the features we're talking about that today are exactly that. They're time-saving features that can make your sales team, your account management team, your success teams that much more efficient in Nutshell. So let's go ahead, dive into our agenda today. The topics are right, the timing is wrong. We're going to walk through what our Zoom AI features are. I'll walk you through some slides, what everything does, a basic overview. Then our VP of Product, Chris Kane, and I recorded a video yesterday and today to walk through the features in action and to kind of explain to you how it happens, what's happening, and what you can do with the feature. And then we'll go over how to access these Zoom AI features, who has access to these, what are the costs associated with that, etc. As always, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat as we go through here. I will do my best to answer in the chat. I don't know if I have any support with me today for the chat. I didn't ask for it. We have about a 12-minute video to walk through, so I think I can answer some through there, or we'll be able to answer some at the end. If we don't get to all questions, occasionally I do try to read all of them and reply individually. If there's a really good question, we just didn't get to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the slide deck. So what are our recently launched Zoom AI features that we have within Nutshell? So basically, we're allowing you to leverage these AI capabilities to make your job that much easier and your days that much quicker. So with this integration, you can generate meeting transcriptions directly from Zoom into your call activity. You can see the activity dialog off to the right of this slide, and you can easily just say, hey, I want to generate my transcription, and add it directly to that dialog. We also allow you to use AI to summarize those Zoom meetings. So what Nutshell is doing, it's taking that input of your transcript from your Zoom meeting and then summarizing it down to just a few bullet points of what was discussed, what was the tone of the meeting, are there any follow-ups that are recommended based upon what was talked about in that meeting? Or if you said, like, hey, I have these to-do items to follow up on, you have these items to follow up on. It allows you to add your own notes too. So we have the AI summarizations and transcriptions, but you can, of course, continue to add your own notes. And of course, you can do this manually. You can log these calls manually, or you can automate the whole entire process that basically says, as long as I'm recording this Zoom message, everything is going to log the activity for me. It's going to make the transcription for me, and it's going to provide that summary for me as well. You don't even have to click anything after that. I do want to note there's some fine print on the slide. Zoom does offer you the ability to get that transcription via your Zoom account. However, you do need to be on their business plan to do so. So there's some friction there in making that happen. We also wanted to improve Zoom call tracking in Nutshell. So Nutshell will automatically detect if you're using Zoom, and it'll save your Zoom activities. It won't record or provide the transcript and summary unless you are actually clicking record on your message. And it can spot Zoom activities right from your activity list with that Zoom icon. You can kind of see it shared in there. And then you're able to then log your calls very quickly. You can view your calls, or you can share your Zoom calls with the person that you had them with, or with somebody else on your team. Of course, within Nutshell, we like to make it very easy for teams to collaborate with these features. And then you can manage your Zoom calls and recordings and notes the way that you want to. I kind of mentioned this earlier. You can access all of your Zoom meetings under the message section inside our sales menu. And you can see there's a little bit of a teaser coming in the video that we're working on rolling this out for Google Meets now. I'm actually seeing in the chat, are there people able to hear me? I see that 2 people are not able to hear me. Okay, I'm getting a lot of message. Greg and Jane, there might be an issue on your end for sound wise. Okay, looks like Jane's good to go. Greg, I hope you can maybe log out and log back in, and maybe that might fix the trick. But if you can't hear me, that didn't help. So I apologize. I'm going to keep going. Again, I'll make sure everyone gets this recording. So if you didn't hear anything or missed some key sections of it, we'll make sure to send this out afterwards. But as I was getting into and teasing, our product team's actually working on rolling out the same features for Google Meets. And then later on this year, we'll be trying to tackle Microsoft Teams as well. So whether you use Zoom, Google Meets, or Microsoft Teams, these features will be available for you. You can access all your notes, all your transcriptions, all your summaries for your Zoom activities anywhere where they appear in Nutshell. So in this section, on a person timeline, a lead timeline, or a company timeline, the sales dashboard as well. And then you can also select to manually log your calls and add notes. Or like I was saying earlier, you can choose the setting that like, hey, anytime that I'm going to have a Zoom call, I want you to automatically transcribe it. I want you to automatically summarize it with your AI capabilities. And I want you to automatically log that call for me. Again, you do have the capability to go back in there and add your own manual notes, but it takes a lot of that logging out of the process. So I talked through what those features are. We're actually going to see those features in action right now. So I'm going to go to the stop sharing screen and then share a Zoom walkthrough video. This is me and our VP of product, Chris Kane. Video is about 11 minutes long. If you do have struggle hearing it or seeing it, just type into the chat and we'll see if we can troubleshoot on the fly. Hi, everybody. It is Monday, April 21st. I'm Will Gordon, Senior Director of Marketing, here with the VP of Product, Chris Kane. And we are going to go over how our Zoom AI features work and how they can transcribe and summarize our conversation. Tomorrow, we're going to hop on another Zoom call and actually show you the after effects of that transcription and summarization of this call now. So Chris, tell us a little bit about the Zoom AI features.
All right. Thanks, Will. Love the meta-ness of this whole thing. Going to go over 3 quick highlights of that feature. Number 1, you're going to connect Nutshell to your Zoom account, and that's going to let Nutshell know about all your Zoom meetings. When those Zoom meetings are completed, we're going to pull in those transcriptions and summarize them with our AI tools. And then, if you'd like, Nutshell can automatically log your activities with those Zoom calls associated with those, throw the transcription and summarization on that activity, and take out all that manual work for you. And we're going to learn about that tomorrow. Sorry, Will.
I was just going to say that must save a lot of teams a lot of time.
It really does. Our team's using it already and really loving it.
Cool. And like Chris said, we're going to learn a lot more about how to do that aspect tomorrow when we hop on again.
All right. See y'all tomorrow.
Hey everybody, Will and Chris back again the next morning on April 22nd. You can see a quick costume change for me, quick headset change for me as well, and a quick background change for Chris. So Chris, we are here to then now dive into setting up the Zoom AI feature and you going in and actually showing us how to manually log our call from yesterday, or showing how Nutshell can do that all automatically for you with our new Zoom AI features. So show us the ropes.
All right, yeah, it sounds great. Let me share my screen and we'll get right to it. All right, so first things first, to start the whole Zoom process, you're going to go to sales, and then we have a new meeting section. And if you have a very eagle eye, you'll notice there's Google Meet here too. That's coming later this month. Very excited about that. But today we're talking about Zoom. So of course, I'm just going to go ahead and connect my Zoom account. Nutshell will provide us with some onboarding, let us know about the feature, what we're going to do. Let me go ahead and connect my Zoom account. Looks like I'm already signed in. Looks great. All right, my Zoom account's connected. That's pretty much it. But one more question. We'll come back to this, but how do I want to log my Zoom calls? So either manually, I will log them myself. I'll add my notes, that kind of thing, or automatically, which is letting Nutshell do a little bit more for me, automate the process. Again, we're going to come back to this, but that's the one question to answer when you first connect your Zoom account. So I'm going to go with manually. Looks great. Oh, Nutshell says, hey, this works better when you sync your calendar. Hopefully a lot of our attendees are already syncing their calendar. If you're not, it's a great feature. I'm in a demo account, so I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to say not now. All right, so I'm connected. I'm good to go. Now Nutshell knows about my Zoom account. Okay, let's switch gears. So I am now jumping into a different demo account that has Zoom connected as well, but there's a couple Zoom meetings that have already occurred. So let's take a look at what this list looks like. First, let me zoom in just a little bit. We can see right at the bottom here that here is Will and I's call we had yesterday. So there's our webinar prep. That was yesterday at 3:45, 4 minutes. We just watched this call, and that is now inside of Nutshell, and I have the ability to log that call. So that's this log button over here. And this is how the Zoom integration has worked for a while, right? I kind of want to recap how the Zoom integration works. So I can hit that log activity button, and it's going to pull up this new activity modal. It's going to tell me a little bit about my call. It's going to give me the ability to add some notes. And then at the bottom, we have our Zoom section, right? So this is what Nutshell has brought in from Zoom. It includes sort of information about the call, a summary, which I might want to include on my activity. So that's pretty cool. Will Gordon, Senior Director of Marketing, and Chris Kane. Ooh, they spelled my name wrong. We do our best. Discussed the company's new Zoom AI features. There's some takeaways we like to include. And then, of course, the full transcript, right? So here's everything we talked about. In fact, yeah, there's everything. Looks really good. So again, I could add my notes and I could log this call and I would be done, right? That is one way I could do this. So from my Zoom screen, I'm not going to log that right now. But from my Zoom screen, I could come here and sort of triage my meetings at the end of every day, log those calls, add my notes, make sure the right things are happening. But, we realized over time from some customer feedback and some internal usage as well, that, people didn't really want to come to this page all the time. Yes, that's one workflow. Maybe at the end of the day, you want to go through and log your activities that you've already had happened. But a lot of people wanted to work from a person page, a lead page. They're already, in this day-to-day workflow. And so what we've done now, I'm going to switch over to Will Gordon's page in Nutshell, Senior Director of Marketing, Nutshell, works for Nutshell, good, is in my activities section, right? And this is how everyone's working already. They have scheduled activities. I don't need to leave this page. So from the person page here, I can click on a past activity that's ready to be logged, and I can add my notes right here. So I don't need to go to my Zoom list of meetings. Of course, I could, but I can just use my day-to-day workflow and be logging these activities right from this page.
Chris, just to stop you right there with one question. I noticed you're on a person page, my page. Can you also do this from a lead page or a company page if that activity is connected to that record?
Yeah, absolutely. So, honestly, it's probably going to be happening from lead pages because you're having calls with your leads, whether you're scheduling it with Scheduler or something else. In this case, I'm doing it from a person page, leads, companies, all of those work. This was a great call, and I'm looking forward to using this feature in the future. All right, so I'm going to add my own notes. I am going to include the summary, and we'll remember what you chose. By default, we don't select this. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit log. So what that's going to do, it's going to log an activity, just like it always would. I can open this here. And then you may or may not have seen this screen, but this is now the logged activity. We have my notes at the top. There's the AI summary that we included there with the overview and takeaways. And then if I scroll down, I can see the full transcription as well.
And Chris, one more question there. You pointed out that the AI spelled your name wrong. Are you able to edit that AI transcription at all, or the AI summary?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So in this case, yes. these are just adding notes, right? Just as if I had typed them myself. We try to break it up with sort of that AI summary at the section there. But if I want to actually spell my name correctly, I can go ahead and do that and hit OK. Now it looks like I am the AI summary, but that is one way you can edit that. Great question. All right, so I'm going to save that. And we have completed what I would say is like the manual process of logging Zoom calls, right? And the reason we called this manual is because I still came in and I clicked on that activity, I added my notes, I clicked a few checkboxes, and then I hit log. That is the manual flow. And for a lot of people, that's going to be the best flow, right? You want to wait until the call is done. You want to be able to add your notes before sort of putting that into Nutshell as a final activity. But there is one other way to do this, and I want to quickly touch on what we're calling the automatic logging flow. So if I go over to settings, there's that question that we were asked in the beginning when I connected to Zoom of what happens, what do I want to do after I log my Zoom calls? I'm sorry, I'm just going to jump over here. I'm on the wrong tab. So how do I want to log my Zoom calls? In this case, manually is what I've chosen, right? I'll log them when I'm ready. The other way to do this is automatically. And so what this means is that when my call is over, and if I've recorded it, Nutshell is going to ingest my Zoom call. It's going to automatically transcribe it. It's going to automatically summarize it. And then it's going to log it as a new activity. So I don't have to do anything, and Nutshell will pull in all the information about my call and create a new logged activity inside of Nutshell. Now, of course, I could still go in and add my notes after the fact, especially if, something happened that I wanted to remember or whatever else, but I wouldn't need to, right? That's sort of the automatic logging flow.
And I guess that would be a really good use case for sales reps or account managers that are on back-to-back calls that might not have the time to take 10, 15 minutes after the call to summarize their own notes. It's like the server coming to the table and not writing down everybody's order, and it gets everything right regardless.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, I want to touch on one final thing because we were staring at it a couple times. That call's gone. I've logged it now. Nutshell is going to pull in everything it knows about from Zoom, right? And this is by design. But there's some things that if you did not record it, we can't actually do anything with it. We're going to show you in this list. Of course, this was a real Zoom meeting I had earlier this morning. I was planning some, projects with my team. We were doing some sprint planning, but this isn't something I actually want to include in the CRM. So I'm just going to remove that. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is nothing is going to show up inside of Nutshell until you actually decide to log it if you're on that manual logging flow. And similarly, if you don't actually record the call, Nutshell is not going to be able to transcribe it because we don't know anything about it, and nothing's going to appear inside of Nutshell as well. So if you're worried about, oh, my Zoom calls are going to appear, if you're not recording them, or you're doing this and you're not actually logging them as activities, nothing's going to appear. This is only visible to me. So wanted to touch on that before we actually finished.
And I guess to reverse that question, Chris, just to ensure that if I'm doing the automatically log or logging manually, to ensure that Nutshell can gain access to provide that transcription and summarization, the only thing that we need to actively do in Zoom is hit the record button. And it won't record anything prior to hitting record, and it won't record anything after hitting record.
That's exactly right. Yep. If I were to stop this recording right now and we keep talking, no one would know about it. All right. I think that's everything. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, Chris, I think that perfectly summarizes the Zoom AI transcription and summarization feature, pun intended there. Thank you so much for walking through that. I hope everyone enjoyed this walk through. And then Will, back to you for the rest of the webinar.
I promise that that pun just came directly to me and it was not premeditated at all. So let's jump back into the Zoom AI features presentation here. So we just got to walk through, see how it works in action, get a direct a walkthrough from our VP of product. Now, how do you use these features? How can you to make sure that you have these features in your account? First of all, like I said earlier, every plan, whether you're on Sales Foundation, Sales Growth, Sales Pro, Sales Business, or Sales Enterprise, has access to our Zoom integration where you can log the Zoom calls. And every plan does have a small number of AI credits that you can use to test out the transcription and summarization feature. It would basically be 1 credit to transcribe and 1 credit to summarize the video. Customers on our Sales Business and our Sales Enterprise plan have a few more credits per user. On the sales business, it's 50 credits per user per month. And on our sales enterprise plan, it's 100 credits per user per month. We also do have additional AI features. We'll mention them on the next slide where you can use those credits so they don't only just go to Zoom. It would work for Google Meets in the future, Microsoft Teams in the future, and a few more items that we'll cover in a second. And again, just to access your Zoom settings when you're logged into Nutshell, if you're watching this webinar right now and have Nutshell open in the same screen or a different screen, just go to the sales on the very far left, hit meetings, and then you'll see Zoom under there. You can connect your Zoom account right there, and then you can work through any of your log Zoom calls as well. I did mention our other features for AI that we have inside of Nutshell. So where can you use those AI credits? You can use them for Zoom AI, which is the transcription and summarization features that we just witnessed from Chris. We also have this for our click-to-call feature as well. You can transcribe and summarize any calls that you have using Nutshell's click-to-call. We also have our voice-to-text note taker. Sorry, I should be explaining these images as we go here. So the Zoom AI features here in the top left, the click-to-call here in the top right, our note taker feature. You'll see this on any person, company, or lead page. The static state is just the stars and the microphone. If you hit that, you'll see the recording pop open. You can just take vocal notes, basically dictate your notes into Nutshell instead of having to type them up. And then the last screenshot that we have here is for our timeline summarization. If you have a long timeline of lots of emails, lots of activities logged, you can just hit the summarize button. It takes 1 AI credit, and it'll basically give you a note of the whole entire timeline for them. And then you can even pin that as a note if you would like to. And then we don't have a screenshot for this last one yet, just because it's something that just hit our roadmap and we're working on. But AI email starters or AI email reply starters that we're going to have directly in Nutshell. You might be familiar with this if you've seen it in your Google account or anything like that. Nutshell will give you a AI starter response for any email that you have with a prospect or a lead. So the AI credits can be used for any of those features, and we're continuing to add more artificial intelligence features inside Nutshell as well. So like overall, like that example that I described in the beginning, like my financial advisor could have got 20 minutes back in his day if he just said, hey, you know what? I have the ability to summarize this call and send you everything that we just talked about. So Zoom AI and all of Nutshell's AI features are here to save your team valuable time so you can focus on selling and growing your business. You don't have to manually log these leads. If you're forgetful in calls or you'd like to take paper notes but always forget to digitize them, Nutshell does that for you with a feature like Zoom AI and Google Meets AI in the future. So we have all of these here as well. I do see some Q&A. Just one question in here. What are the rules around a recorded phone call? Do we need to tell the caller that we are doing this? What if we forget to tell them? I do believe that probably varies from legality from a state to state or country to country. Zoom, I believe when you're doing this, it does at least notify the person that the call is being recorded. So at that point in time, they have the ability to be like, hey, I don't want to be recorded. Of course, you want to abide by the person that you're talking to if they feel uncomfortable with it. I feel like that's the right thing to do is to turn off the recording. But Zoom does have a little bar that comes up across the top that says this call is now being recorded, and you can click OK to let it continue. So that wouldn't be a Nutshell thing, but that would be something utilizing with Zoom. I think Google Meets has something similar that pops up there as well. So yeah, we can see Justin chiming in here that Zoom has that consent banner that pops up. Any other questions that we can answer in the chat? All right, well, thank you for joining today to talk about our Zoom AI features. Again, we have one coming in here from Hannah. Correct, Hannah. It is not available on the Pro plan per se. You can test this out on the Pro plan. I can't remember the exact AI credits that Pro, Growth, and Foundation get when it comes to the AI credits, but you do have a small amount of credits you can use to test out our AI features. And really, like the decision comes down to you. If you think these will save you time and help your business grow more, you know, the investment to move up to our business here to unlock more AI credits could end up paying for itself and then some. But just a reminder, our support-led webcast Really just going over the, I don't want to call them the basic features of Nutshell, but the essential features of Nutshell that help you really get out everything you can from your investment from Nutshell, regardless of plan you're on. Happens every fourth Wednesday of the month at noon. So I believe that is tomorrow at noon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so here at the bottom, April 23rd, tomorrow at noon Eastern. It's a great opportunity to just like be able to ask a question, get shown an answer. It's kind of like 50% or the first half is just walking you through essential items of Nutshell. The other half is like you have questions, you can bring them up, and James is really great at being able to answer them. You can register for that. The link will be in the PDF that you'll get an email of after this as well. And I see a question here from Marissa. Sorry, as the Q&A comes in. Yes, Microsoft Teams, it's not currently on the active roadmap, but we do plan on getting Microsoft Teams in there and having the same exact features for Teams. Google Meet is actually just getting started, I believe, this week. So we hope to have that feature out by middle of next month in May. I would expect the Microsoft Teams, I hope I'm not making Chris and the product team angry, but I would expect that in Q3 that we'll have these same features for Microsoft Teams as well. And then last but not least, just want to go through some recent updates, some exciting times as our product team continues to grow. We're moving at a really fast pace here and trying to make sure that everyone's up to date. Some recent updates. We now have an integration with Facebook Messenger and Instagram DMs in our Nutshell engagement suite. So you can, example of how you use this, if your support team or your sales team or account management team takes messages and responds to messages via Facebook Messenger or via Instagram DMs, you can now integrate that directly with Nutshell. And the same place that you manage Nutshell Chat and the same place you manage Nutshell SMS in the one-to-one capacity, you can now respond directly to Facebook Messenger messages and Instagram DM messages as well. Something in the future that's coming out that'll pair in nicely with those two is also WhatsApp. We're working on that feature as well. No date set yet on that one, but it will be coming this year at some point in time. We also recently just launched Enterprise SSO and Directory Sync SSO. That feature is only available on our Enterprise plan, and there are minimum seats that apply to be able to use those features. Coming up soon, we have updates to our Outlook extension. So if you are a Microsoft 365 or an Outlook user, we're making some updates to match the features that our Chrome browser extension has. So you'll be able to send email templates that you build in Nutshell directly from your Outlook interface. And you can also track the opens and clicks and create new contexts and tasks and so much more with that extension update. So it's going to basically be able to do the same thing that our Chrome extension does and you can use in Gmail. And then we teased it earlier on in the webinar, but we are also adding AI email reply starters. I think this is now launched internally for us. So we're using it currently. That means it's usually a week or two out from our beta testers, and then another week or two out for our global audience of Nutshell as well. So we're excited to keep rolling with these product updates. If you want to stay up to date with product updates, this PDF will be sent to you. The link that says here, that is a page on our website that we try to update every single time we roll out a new feature or an enhancement to a current feature. I would suggest bookmarking that bar. If you're ever curious, hey, did Nutshell do this yet? You can open that window and just see if it's there. Most recent is always on top. And of course, subscribe to our shipping newsletter. We send that out once a month, and we just try to do a wrap up of everything that is out. And we'll also link to any webinars that are upcoming so you can learn more about the features that we're handling here. So again, thank you for joining our webinar. Thank you for staying interested in our product and wanting to use these features. If you do have questions on the AI features in Nutshell, whether it's Zoom AI or other ones, please do open up a chat with support. That's the quickest way to contact them Monday through Friday during our business hours. If it's off hours, you can also email them at support@nutshell.com, although chat's typically a little bit faster. So thank you for joining me again today. We'll see you all in May at our next webinar led by the marketing team here. So thank you and happy Nutshelling.